and easy. That's what go-karting should be to start with. All right. So, you know, what we need is we need engines that are simple and easy, because the engines are the hard part.
You guys want any of these chairs?
Yeah, bring some chairs. So, like for example, this thing right here. We got another right here. Yami Leopard. Piston cylinder crankcase. This is a very solid engine. Hanging back here is the most abomination of a starter that there ever existed. And then they throw all this extra complication here. Bendix starters I've seen blow up, with destroy engines. And then also under here we've got the clutch, you know. And then along with this comes a battery and then a whole different electronic system that you don't even need. And that's what breaks. Clutch brakes, starter brakes. It made the headers better, but the engines are pretty solid. The carburetor, you know, that could be a better carburetor in order, you know, to be a little more, you know, even carburetor to carburetor, so we're not searching around for different carbs because these are made like crap. But, you know, this engine needs to be how it was originally made in like '86. It needs to have no starter, you know, no clutch. It needs to be direct drive, and then that eliminates all the stuff. And then this one's still air cooled, little water cooled. I mean, and none of this stuff's brand new. Like Yami makes a sedan, 125cc air cooled, and then imagine an air cooled two-stroke engine has 3 parts. Direct drive, two-stroke air cooled engine has 3 parts. The Italians, they've been doing it right for a long time. Wanting to go to air cooled or water cooled, that's fine for, you know, maybe some, you know, like, you know, bigger classes that run a liquid cooled motor than an air cooled motor. But, you know, these guys right now, like Kyle Wiegand, and racing against all these guys, you know, this motor was supposed to be so that, like, it was easy for people to use. Well, you know, it's all there. You can still make it easy to use. You say in the classes where these guys are racing at the highest level that it can be direct drive. If you want to have a clutch, well, you can put a clutch on and you can self-start. But you can go all the way down to direct drive, which is what all those guys would do because that's the best. And you can eliminate all this stuff. And if you had a master's class, you'd say you'd have to have a minimum of a clutch. The guy still doesn't have to have the starter and the charging system and all the crap, but everybody in his class would have to maybe remote start, which is what 100,000 go-karters did in this country with KT100s when there was 1 billion people racing go-karts. They used self-starters. Any car self-start. It's not like some you know, nasty thing that a go-kart has to have a starter to get it started when you're on the grid. You know, so there's no reason we can't do that. You know, and then they just make it so much simpler. They make the engines cheaper to use, make the engines simpler. And we still have to figure out why the Italians need $600 for a crankshaft, but you know, that's another story. But that's the problem. This KF motor and all this way too expensive crap. You know, it's just way too complicated. It's way too complicated. What? Karting. You just made it way too complicated. It needs to be simple.